Welcome back to Living Local. Our next guest is the author of the new book, Trauma, Grief, and Recovery. Trauma is more than PTSD. And here to tell us more about it is Dr. Stephen-Claude A. Hyatt in this segment sponsored by the Empire Publisher. Dr. Hyatt, so great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brandy. It's wonderful being here with you.
So, first of all, give us some background on yourself.
So I'm a clinical health psychologist. I'm from Jamaica in the Caribbean, but I have been living and working in Asia for the past 2 decades. Firstly with International SOS, which is a French medical evacuation company. I was head of mental health for China, and now I run my own mental health consultancy called Cognitive Assurance Life Management International, that's CALM International, with offices in Singapore, China, and also Malaysia.
What a background. So what made you decide to write a book?
Well, I thought that trauma is a misunderstood concept and that it was important for persons to understand exactly what trauma is. It's almost like a logical paradox. On the one hand, persons love to say any little thing happened to them, oh, I'm so traumatized. But on the other hand, little things can cause trauma. So I thought it was important to talk about the fact that there's more to trauma than post-traumatic stress disorder, because many persons are experiencing trauma and grief and they're not aware of it, and it's impacting different areas of their lives. So I thought a book that was written in the language that people could understand would be good, and if it's a self-help book, it would be even better.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they don't maybe recognize trauma until it's too late, maybe 20 years down the road.
Absolutely, and then it's already creating significant issues in their lives, because we have what we call, for example, Brandy, adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, and they're persons who have had these experiences from childhood, and we're now seeing them in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It's impacting upon their relationships, it's impacting upon their professional lives, it's impacting on different areas. And so if it's not treated, it impacts not just the individual and the family, but society as well. So it's important for us to address trauma and grief.
And so what do you hope that people will take away from your book?
Well, I'm hoping for them to recognize that, as I said, trauma is not just PTSD, because persons are of the assumption that if you didn't go to war or had some other huge traumatic experience, then you're not experiencing trauma. I want them to take away the fact that, hey, there are little things that have happened in our lives that have been preventing us from living our best lives. And if we're able to recognize what these things are, so for example, trauma can be caused by infidelity. There are a lot of women who develop trauma because their husbands cheated on them. Trauma can be caused by religion. Irrespective of the religion, we have discrimination, racism, and trauma. And so if persons can recognize that they have been traumatized by these things, if you have a diagnosis, then you can have a treatment plan in place.
And I think a lot of people don't realize is that everyone processes trauma differently too, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, we process it differently because even though there are some common experiences and symptoms that we have with trauma, it's also a unique experience based on the individual. And so for some persons in processing trauma, they probably become more aggressive, more triggered. So anything that happens, they're activated. A little situation can cause them to have huge responses. Whereas on the other hand, you'll have some persons who just turtle. They lose themselves into their shells and they're not as responsive as they should be.
So doctor, where's the best place for viewers to find your book?
Well, the best place is Amazon. So it's available on Amazon as an ebook, but also you can get hard copies, hardcover and softcover copies. You can also find it on my website. It's www.drschhyatt.com.
Okay. And what kind of feedback have you received so far from the book, from those who have read it?
It's been good. I mean, I'm now in New York, but I was in Jamaica for Christmas, and I presented at an interview there as well. And the feedback has been tremendous. Persons have been speaking about the ways in which it's been helping them to deal with their own trauma that they have had for years, but also assisting others with their own trauma and grief. So persons have been talking on social media ways in which the book has been helpful, and I'm really hoping that it can help more people because I wrote this book. It's not about making money, it's about making people aware so people can get the help that they need.
Definitely. What's next for you?
Calm International. I mean, we are the leading mental health facility in Singapore at the moment. And as I said, we're also in China, in Beijing, and we're registered in Malaysia, but we're going to be starting our office space in Malaysia later this year. And I'm thinking about writing a book on men and how men treat with what we call engendered behaviors, the pressures that society put on us as men that prevent us from really being our true selves.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
The pleasure is mine, Brandy. Thank you very much. Take care.
You as well. Again, this segment was sponsored by the Empire Publisher. For more information, you can find Dr. Stephen-Claude A. Hyatt on social media, and you can find the book on Amazon. We'll have all those details posted on ourquadcities.com.